Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. So, as expected, this week seems to be the rules showcase for the upcoming Dark Angels supplement, which is going to be available for pre-order this coming Saturday. And we got our first article today and, hoo boy, happy times for Dark Angel players. Let's take a look. The first article of the week gives us a, let's be honest, pretty hefty overview of various changes in the upcoming supplement, from psychic powers to relics to stratagems to even an update to our old super doctrine ability Relentless Hunt. First off, Interromancy is definitely back. We kind of knew this already with the rules updates to Ezekiel giving a +1 to casts for the discipline, but now it is confirmed. We have our own discipline, and Warhammer Community kindly show off a couple of the updated powers coming along with it. Mindwipe is our first preview. This used to be a Warp Charge 7 power, which let you choose an enemy model within 18 inches, and you'd essentially have a d6 roll off and add your leadership. If you scored higher, the opponent won draws. The enemy model had to reduce its leadership, ballistic skill, and weapon skill by 1 for the rest of the battle. Now, this was always really cool in theory, but with the 18-inch range and the fact you had to get the power off, and then you had to win a roll-off, I think I maybe saw it go off like maybe once in the entire time I played with my Dark Angels since I 8th edition, so I mean, it wasn't particularly reliable. That has now been changed to the new and improved Mindwipe. Again, with a warp charge of 7, you select an enemy unit within 18 inches, and you select an aura ability that it has, and until your next psychic phase, it loses that aura ability. This is huge. Being able to shut down those key reroll hits, wounds, charges, feel no pains, all that kind of stuff can be absolutely clutch in games of 40k. And I love the fact that you get to choose which aura. So if an enemy has multiple that it kind of provides to its surrounding units, you can pick which one is going to be the most detrimental to your enemy. This is really good, and it's really fun and fluffy in my opinion. I also love, I have to say as an aside, the Dark Angel psychic power descriptions. They're always so grim dark and gritty, dragging out every memory that makes them who they are and reducing them to hollow shells of what they once were. I just love it. It's so good. It's so Dark Angel-y. Up next we have Engulfing Fear. This power was quite frankly awful before. It was a Warp Charge 6. Your opponent must roll 2 dice and discard the lower when taking morale tests for units within 6 inches of the Psyker. I mean, it was meh. It was really meh. Rolling 2 dice still doesn't guarantee a failure. The 6-inch range is brutally short, and even then, like, morale is, whilst more of a factor nowadays, it's still a mechanic that is largely not too punishing for most armies, and most armies have a way to get around it in some way. And like, even if they don't, if it's an absolutely clutch morale test that is going to change the game, the enemy can just pay 2 command points to auto pass it. It was quite possibly the worst power out of the entire Interromancy discipline, in my opinion. But now, it's gone up to Warp Charge 7. That's still fine. But now, you pick an enemy within 24 inches, much bigger range, and until your next psychic phase, it subtracts 1 from its leadership. But also, it loses its obsec ability. Just straight up loses objective secured. And it cannot perform actions, and if it was performing one, it automatically fails. This is huge. This is so huge. You've got those souped up Necrons with that dynasty that lets them count as 2 models with obsec, so, you know, it's basically impossible to steal from them. Bam. Not anymore. Now they are not obsec. Your little 5-man squad of Marines has just taken that objective. Enemy unit doing a final clutch action in the last turns of the game. Bam. Now they're not. Or if they were, they just failed it. This has got so much potential, and on top of that, you still do get that -1 leadership debuff, which could come in handy for any morale related shenanigans you had in mind. But this power, even if it was just the losing obsec and the not being able to do actions, like, that would be a great power in and of itself. The extra 1 minus to your leadership is just like gravy on top. I love this power. It's so good. It's absolutely fantastic. And I mean, if these two changed in this way, I am so hyped to see what they've done for the rest of the discipline. Up next, the article showcases a couple of our updated relics, in particular 2 very popular ones, the Mace of Redemption and the Heavenfall Blade. The Mace is very much an anti-chaos weapon, and it always has been, as you can see, previously the mace was +3 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage with reroll wounds against Heretic Astartes. Now it's gone straight up to ×2 strength, -3 AP and 2 damage. And against Fallen or Heretic Astartes, wound rolls inflict 2 mortal wounds on the target. Yes, you do lose a point of damage from before, but going from, usually strength 7 to strength 8 with its ×2 strength is really quite decent. I would say at worst, this is probably going to be a side grade, but against Chaos Marines, you're potentially going to be slamming out those mortal wounds on them. And against those big boys with invuns like Terminators and characters, this is going to be a really great way for negating that invulnerable save and just really getting through every single wound that you can. Next up, we have the Heavenfall Blade, and I love this sword. I love it. I always bring it when I can. It's just awesome. Used to be +2 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage, and you got an additional attack with it. It was just really, really good for clearing through, those sort of Marine profiles and those Primaris profiles. It's now gone to +2 strength, -4 AP, and a flat 2 damage with the extra attack. Now obviously in 40k, consistency is key. So going to that flat 2 damage is a good change and actually an improvement on the old D3. It will stop you from rolling those ones when you're surrounded by enemy Marines. And also, going to -4 just means that you also won't get those really annoying times when your enemy rolls like 5 6s to save and ends up taking no damage at all. Overall, this has become an absolutely incredible Marine killer, even better than it was before, and I mean, it was good at doing that before with -3 AP and D3 damage. Like, it was a pretty reliable way to get through Primaris Marines, but now it has just become exponentially better at it because they won't get a save a lot of the time and you won't roll those ones for the damage ever because it just does a flat 2. The extra attack is gravy, and they've also added a clarification which I love. Talon Masters can take it, even though they're a vehicle. Whilst the Talon Master was always quite a shooty HQ, he wasn't terrible in a pinch if you got him into melee, and this little amendment just means that you can quite easily grab him, charge him up the board with the Heavenfall Blade to really make quite short work of those enemy ranged units sitting back like, Hellblasters or Devastators or Suppressors. It's a small change, big improvement, and I love it. We then move on to a couple of stratagems, and new Dark Angel players will be very glad to hear that yes, Intractable is back. It's still the same 2 CP, it's still usable on anything, so not just infantry, your tanks can use this if they wish, and it basically lets you fall back and shoot, with a tiny clarification added to say that inner circle models don't need to pass the 2d6 roll to see if they can fall back. This was part of the updated inner circle rules which came from that little errata like a few weeks or a month ago. It's good stuff, glad to see it back, it's powerful and can really help you get out of a bad melee in a pinch. We also got to see a new stratagem, Line Unbreakable. Now this one is great. For 1 CP, you can essentially negate a huge swathe of attacks coming at your units. You target a Dark Angel's infantry unit, and until the end of that phase, the only enemy models that can swing at them are those specifically within engagement range. So all those models that couldn't get in because of, poor charge rolls, or moving around terrain, or whatever it may be, and who are in that within half an inch of a model within half an inch distance, can basically just sit there and twiddle their thumbs while their comrades attack. Against things like Orc and Tyranid hordes, this is going to be absolutely amazing, dropping, maybe 20, 25 models swinging at you to like 10. It can make a huge difference. But even, if you're in pretty dense terrain and have good coverage on the board, even like a 10-man unit of, say, Death Company or a big 6-man squad of Thunderwolf Cavalry, if the roll doesn't quite get them into the right distance, there is potentially a heck of a lot less teeth, power fists, thunderhammers, and chainswords hitting your guys. And that's huge, especially when you pair it with Intractable. And I think that's what I love the most about these rules previews so far. There's just so much synergy and battle planning and strategy, which is exactly what the Dark Angels are famed for. You resist the enemy charge with your Line Unbreakable stratagem, then you can fight back, and then using Intractable, you can make this orderly fallback before unleashing your guns into the opponents after they've, strung themselves out too thin. But what if you can't fall back? What if you're, say, on a really important objective, or your back is up against a wall and you just can't break away? Well, have I got a super doctrine for you. So our old super doctrine, Relentless Hunt, gave us extra range on our guns in the Devastator doctrine. it was okay, to be honest. But then after the nerf to Doctrines, in that you had to move through each one, so you'd only get that extra range in turn 1, and then 9th edition reducing the size or the possible size of the tables, it meant that for the most part, it very rarely actually came into effect. And even if it did, a savvy opponent could very easily counter it with pre-measuring and good deployment. Now, however, our super doctrine appears to be changing. We are now the proud owners of the Fire Discipline doctrine ability. The article states that this is just one part of the new ability, so hopefully we will see what else is happening later in the week, but so far I'm already pretty impressed with what we've got coming. While the Tactical Doctrine is active, so already better because we can have this across 2 turns, and generally doctrines that are active in Tactical are, in my opinion, the slightly better ones. But while Tactical Doctrine is active, infantry models, excluding Deathwing, can use their rapid fire and assault weapons while in engagement range. They must target a unit within engagement range, yada yada yada, and these attacks are at BS5. So, wow. You've been charged, you've survived, but your squad is backed up against a wall and intractable isn't possible. What are you going to do? Oh, you say, you're in Tactical Doctrine. Well, unleash your guns right into the enemy's face. That is a huge amount of potential shooting, point blank, into your enemy. I mean, imagine a unit of Inceptors or Hellblasters get charged by a unit, thinks, oh, I'm going to tie up these guys. If they don't know Dark Angels at all, and they think, I'm going to tie up these guys, and keep them out of the fight for a lot of the game, they get charged and survive, you are absolutely going to melt any enemy units that foolishly engage you. But 6, I hear you say, it's only 5+ to hit. It's not exactly going to be that effective. Well, that is true. But consider our chapter tactic hasn't, as far as I know, changed. And if you've been charged, you haven't moved. So you're actually going to be hitting on 4s anyway, which really isn't all that bad. And if you have a character nearby, you're still going to be making a good majority of those hits if you get rerolls to hit or rerolls to wound. And then you still got your assault phase to attack them back even after you've shot them with this firepower. So this is just like a really nice bonus, a really nice charge deterrent. Like I was speaking about this with one of my friends who plays Blood Angels, and he was like, having seen that, I really don't want to charge your lines anymore. I really do not want to get into combat with you, even though Blood Angels are still better in melee than Dark Angels with all their stratagems and everything. You just don't want to get in because you're going to get shot in the face, and then you're still going to have a lot of hits back because the +1 to hit still counts in melee. The way that Dark Angels seem to be being portrayed is very much, in my opinion, like that scene in 300, where the Persians charge the Spartan lines and just grind to a halt against them, and then the Spartans push and force the horde back, and then those in the second rank lunge forward and just slaughter them with their spears before they close ranks again and move forward. That's exactly how I see it. Like you hold the line, you let the enemy kind of charge you, and you just hold against this wave, and then you push back and do a huge amount of damage, and then you just move forwards and do it again. Like, it's not just a castle. They can move up, they can advance, and with things like Fire Discipline and strats like Intractable, they want to be moving up the board. You want to be advancing on the enemy. But as soon as the opponent charges, that turtle shell closes in, and you just wait, letting the flow of enemy attacks like wash over you before you surge out, blast away everything that was foolish enough to get too close to you, and then move up the board like having cleared away this huge swathe of enemies. I love it so much. Games Workshop definitely seem to be pushing Dark Angels away from this purely shooty chapter and giving them this almost strategic brilliance that allows them to, indomitably hold the line before making these huge pushes with range and with melee to force the enemy back step by step, like grinding them down just step by bloody step. It's so cool and it's so fluffy and I love it. So that is all the rules we saw today, and I'll be honest, all of them, in my opinion, were really great. I am so excited to see what else is coming for the Dark Angels, and as I said, I'm sure this whole week will be full of Dark Angels previews, so we will get more information over the next few days. But do let me know what you liked the most in this preview. What rules do you think are good, any that you think are less good, and what else you are hoping for in the upcoming previews for the First Legion. Thanks again for watching, and as always, please leave a like and subscribe for more Warhammer related videos from me. Until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.